Couples gather round. Now, there is something called postnat clarity, and this is something that happens in men when or immediately after they have sex. They are hit with the realization that all the effort they put to have sex, or now that they've had the sex, everything they did before to get to that point wasn't worth it. It's kind of like an anticlimax. It's a very horrible feeling, if you're being honest. And it usually happens with men when you're not emotionally invested in the woman. Now, why am I telling you this? Because, and this is mostly for the women, is because in a marriage context, and I'm speaking to the married women, in a marriage context, postnat clarity should not happen because marriage presupposes that there should be already an emotional investment, which means sex is supposed to make you people draw closer to one another. Meaning, after sex, you can either cuddle or mkuwe na pillow talk. You know what I mean? You basically get to feel closer together. But if your man is the type that gets withdrawn immediately after sex and gets postnat clarity, and you can tell by how they behave, maybe immediately after he climbs off of on top of you and then faces the other side and falls asleep, or immediately just goes to the washroom and then comes back and, good night, and he goes to sleep. He seems withdrawn after sex. That's a man who's going through postnat clarity. And the problem with that is it signifies a deeper problem. It signifies the fact that intimacy is being lost in your marriage. Your marriage is losing that intimacy. The thing that man and wife are supposed to have in the bedroom, it's dying. So now what's left is what we call mechanical sex. Sex without an emotional push, sex without an emotional investment, kind of what people have with prostitutes. You're not emotionally invested, you just want the release. And then immediately after the release, you're like, all that was for this. It feels sad, it feels bad. So if that's the case, for your marriage, make sure you get back to the point where you were before in your marriage, if ever you were at that point where you were actually getting intimate, or where sex usually brought the two of you back together. If it's a communication issue that has led to that, make sure you fix it. And now to the men, if you're the type of man who gets postnat clarity with your wife, bro, you need to fix it. You need to fix it because the quickest way to end a marriage or a relationship usually starts in the bedroom. It doesn't start with, most people say communication is the issue, and I agree, but sex is like the glue that fixes most relationships. You've seen people stay in toxic relationships just because of how good the sex is. So now you have to make sure that part of your marriage remains intact, okay? It remains intact. So if you're losing it, fix it. Because ideally, postnat clarity should not exist in a marriage context. It shouldn't, and it shouldn't, and it shouldn't. So that being said, have a nice one.